All right, and we're once again live, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Tables have turned. The man, young Nasir, is the one being interviewed this time.
All right, so let's hear him.
All right. I've got a bunch of questions queued up in my doc over here. All right, we're starting off hot. What was it like hitting Razumi with the kitchen sink in your infamous spot?
Okay, so I did not hit her with the sink. Let's clarify that. I
Uh,
used the sink in the Extreme Elimination Chamber in 2016. I hit Y2 Impact with the kitchen sink.
so what you're saying is we're not following in the steps of the great prophet Future,
Not back
hitting
then.
women
Not
with the
back then.
sink. Oh, not. Oh, right, because the tarot thing. Right. Right. Um, this is a question from Jeff. Is Southern Comfort the greatest Gamma Pro Wrestling team of all time?
Of course, they're the sole tag team champions for the last like year and a half.
All right, so I gotta ask you, who the fuck is in Southern Comfort?
So that's a team based on the revival that Jeff and I made. It's Danny Boomhauer and Nash Gribble.
Oh, you right. You right. All right. Third question comes from a man who is a great enemy of both of ours, the Grand Cracker Jacob Shawn. He
Jacob Sin.
simply asked why we're both bitches.
Why are you such a cracker?
I mean, he literally just won a match to declare himself the top cracker, so that's an irrelevant question.
But why?
Because he's white and he's from Alabama. That's all there is to it.
You're right. That's all he can be. It wouldn't be right if he was anything else.
All right. Young Maverick asks, what is the one thing you change from any of your booking eFed career? But let's cheat. And I'll give you one for EAW, one for OWA, and one for SSW. So you got 3 redos.
All right, so I would say for EAW, if I had to pick one thing, just erase the fucking bitch ass Banks matches from history, please. Just get rid of those. Let me.
Really?
Don't get me. Okay, so let me put it this way.
All right, let me
I'm.
ask you this.
Go ahead.
What if what if what if we just left like the OOC shit out of it? Like, what were your, if like we're speaking purely EFED kayfabe? Like, what would be best for the career of Nas, not so much like you personally. But you can answer that after the thanks explanation.
Okay, so um, if there was something, I would say remove take Eclipse out of my championship match with PB from the fall of 2017 from House of Glass. Just let me and PB have a 1v1.
Who won that?
PB retained.
I see. See what it changed it to you beating PB?
I mean, probably not because me beating Nico was the perfect opponent with the perfect setup for me to beat. So I wouldn't want to dethrone anyone
True.
else.
I remember that one. That was lit. Uh, I didn't know Nico like that back then, and I just kind of treat things with respect to kayfabe. So he was like the ultimate heel, you were the ultimate face, so it just fucking worked too well.
And I guess if there was one more thing, I would say I wish that I wish I could have gotten a mid card run like way back in the day, like
Uh,
like the hardcore title for like that span of time when I was on Voltage in the beginning, the first half of 2017 when I was just treading water, feuding with random like mid and lower card guys while other
yeah,
people were in the world title scene. Like I wouldn't even I wouldn't even complain about not being in the world title scene at that point, even though I was over enough to be, as long as like because that would have been the perfect time to just hand me a fucking like a quick hardcore title for like 2 or 3 months, and then I can move on after that in the next season when I move to Dynasty, and that can be my world championship ascension still. For OWA,
Wait, real quick, were you ever New Breed champion?
no, I held I won the tag titles with Aaron in 2014, and after that I didn't hold another belt until I became Answers World Champion. Like that long stretch of time I didn't win a single belt.
Crazy. Damn. Okay. But yeah, OWA.
For OWA, I love Keelan, but I would take back putting that nigga over from Boiling Point 2019. Yeah, 2019. I would take that back. I would have beat him. And then in terms of SSW, I would say...
Oh, come on.
No, it's gonna be early SSW. You already know.
That's what I'm saying.
I just wouldn't have been in the Phantom Troop because Jesus Christ.
I think everybody except for Arya, who's been in the Phantom Troop, says that about the Phantom Troop.
Well, it just in hindsight, it didn't make any sense for me to be there because, like, I literally just got reduced to like Arya's backup dude or like John Doe's backup dude. Like it was really a waste of time. To be honest, I didn't even want to win the tag titles in SSW. That's when Brian told me I'd get to 1v1 him and I'd beat him. But then Brian fucking walked out, so then it turned into we need a team to fucking beat OTP, so let's put Nas and Sen together and have them beat HBG and Robbie, which became a whole mess in and of itself. I'm not even going to get into that.
Right, yeah, that's not a big deal no more. Fair answers. Yeah, I guess in SSW back then you should have just continued being the face, because there was nothing wrong with the Nas character back then.
Yeah.
Alright. So Cloud asks, what are your plans for your E-Fed legacy?
Oh, just wait till you see the grand unveiling of the E-Fed Legacy Championship.
Yo, can you DM me that, by the way?
No, Aaron hasn't made it yet. I commissioned him to make it earlier, but then he went to sleep.
You're right.
So there is currently no E-Fed Legacy Championship design, but there will be one hopefully by tomorrow.
So let's say then, like, you know, when you asked Arya, she's like, I want to be remembered more as a writer, like I said.
Yeah, in terms
people seem happy with SSW. So what's your OOC?
Yeah, in terms of my real legacy that I would want to keep, I would honestly just want it to be the fact that, like, in character, I would say I did cool shit that people were into, and that, like, people were, like, hyped to see me do, like, cool shit. But, like, aside from that, as, like, OOC, I would just say being, like, a premier member of the community and helping establish, like, the next wave of people when, like for example, how I picked Chris and Cage to be the guys to run Olympus in the future, because at that time I was super fucking burnt out.
Right.
And I couldn't handle it, so I just needed to rely on somebody else. Or, like, I think I mentioned in the Arya podcast yesterday how I was the one that made the connection between her and Jeff, because in my mind at that point I knew Jeff's gonna be on the council at some point. Like, I just had it in the back of my mind. It was just waiting for the right opportunity. And then when Arya told me she needed a partner, I said, I got just the guy. And even then, with, like, people like Mav and Rev and Arata, RD3, Graham and Noah, like, helping these newer people, you know, come out into their own, whether it's, like, just, even if it's, like, with the Eon Blue situation, where I fought him on one Olympus randomly when I first came back this year. And then having that really good match with him and bringing out like some of his best work that he did just for one random exhibition match really like helped him along the way and I would say it helped him find the direction to lead towards his open weight title run that he's on right now. So like I would say, like, realistically speaking, I would want it to be less about me myself and more about how I helped like the greater scheme of things and helped other people get to do cool shit that they would want to do, and that they would theoretically you would need somebody big to advocate for you.
Right. That helps having people back at you.
So I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying you're gonna be one of the more memorable members of the overall community here with OWA. Jeff asks, how did you come to be co-chairman of OWA?
All right, so originally we didn't have a chairperson of OWA season 1. It was really just myself, Oasis, and then later Aria as the writers, and that was pretty much it. And then you had like Nate doing the forum stuff, Finn was doing the wiki stuff, Tara was doing the GFX, and then you had people like Keelan and Cloud, who Cloud wasn't around as much that back then. They were like consultants and like pitching ideas and stuff. And then of course later you get Cage and Chris, and then afterwards Jeff brought into the fold, and now Stark as well, like just brought into the mix. But back then there wasn't a chairman. And then at first it became, when I took those two, Chris and Cage, and I made them the Olympus guys, I said, I'm going to take a backseat from the writing aspect of it, and I want to be able to handle a lot of the administrative part of it. That way the writers can focus on the writing, and then I can deal with all the extra administrative bullshit that needs to be done in terms of like Fed heading and like running the Fed and figuring out shit and communication between everybody. So originally it was just me, but then after I had to, after a while, it became, even that was like a little much, and Oasis stepped up, and then he and I became partners in that regard. So that's how the co-chairman thing with he and I started. And now Cloud's kind of in the mix with that too, where it's like, because what happened with that was when I left for Africa, I wasn't sure if I was going to be around or not, because I didn't know what the conditions were going to be like out there, if I would even have internet access or anything. Luckily, I ended up having internet access, and I could at least be around and hang out and talk and shit. So like, yeah, exactly as Cloud just said in the chat, when I left, I basically said he's gonna hold down my position until I get back. And then it just became a thing of, he was so natural in the spot that now he, Oasis, and I are like a 3-man team. So I guess that answers that question.
Good answer.
So what's our next question?
Right. Sav's bitch ass asks, what was it like paying for an apartment to share with Izumi, only for her to break your heart?
Bro.
How are we addressing these spicy allegations?
Bro, I was in Marvin's room for a whole month. I need y'all to understand. I was hurting.
All right. Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Go on.
What did her bed sheets smell like?
Yo. First of all, back then it was my place, so it was my sheets that she was on. Second, I wasn't out here sniffing sheets because I wash my bed sheets. Apparently there are some crackers out here that don't wash their bed sheets for like a whole month, which is probably like one of the grossest things I've ever heard in my life.
So, so your infamous fourth wall heel turn promo, how much of that, ask Jeff, was actually in character and how much was out of character?
Well, everybody knows that like the best stuff is written as like an exaggerated extension of what you actually believe. Like, you know, you dialed up to 11 or whatever the fuck. So I would say like the frustrations at that point with my character were there and they were real, to the point where I felt like I don't even know if there's even a point in me still going at this point, because it's like I was very much just like spinning my wheels and just going in circles. And it was very, but then like, as I was conflicted even doing that, because I was conflicted about the heel turn to begin with, but now everything has worked out perfectly, setting things up, and I feel like I'm still kind of in the initial stages of figuring out who I am as a bad guy in terms of writing my promos and my segments, but I'm getting out of that initial angry at the fans thing, and I'm getting more into the whole I'm just a general dickhead, but it's starting to get kind of cool, but I'm still like an asshole.
All right. Sharpie asks, "What's
But
guilty?"
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your answer first.
As for how much of it was real, I would say to an extent most of it was, but the thing is that like it's all stuff that's like I don't believe everything I said, but a lot of it sounds like it would be believable if you heard it. Like particularly the part where I run down the different like different aspects of our community that people flock to, like, oh, all the simps just, the reason all the ladies are over is because all the simps just mark out for them because they want to get with them, blah blah blah. Obviously not 100% true. I'm not gonna say that's not true at all, because there are definitely some simps out here that just be cheering for these bitches because they want to be with them. But obviously these ladies out here, they deserve credit. That Odyssey roster deserves huge amounts of credit. And being someone that's written for females in the past, I can tell you these ladies, they bust their ass and they deserve just as much respect as these men do. Without a doubt. If not more respect, because they deal with more bullshit in politics. Whether for or against them.
I agree. Luckily, not much of an issue in our circles.
Yeah, well, not anymore. Let's clarify that.
I mean, post OWA, like, EAW is a problem of its own, but
yeah,
I think as long as I've been in OWA, that's not really been an issue. I guess Odyssey, actually being treated as a legitimate show and not just like Empire being Eclipse's place to do his fan fictions or whatever, also helps too, because it's about how you present it. There's always going to be dummies with that, oh, I don't want the women beating me in a straight up match mindset, but luckily we don't got to deal with that kind of shit here.
Yeah. All right, so let's go.
What's your guilty pleasure anime?
I don't know if they're a guilty pleasure anime. I I saw School Days way back in the day. It was cool, but it wasn't like a big thing like that. Like for me, Orem Boys Club. You talk about Oron High School.
Yeah.
Oron High School was lit. I used to watch that back in the day.
I wouldn't call that guilty pleasure. That's too popular.
Yeah. Same thing with something like Hetalia, for instance, back then. I wouldn't say that.
I mean, you be watching like Love Live or anything like that?
I saw like the first like 1 or 2 episodes and I just couldn't stick with it.
And there it is. Since we're on that topic, Sen asks if you know from Naruto Part 1 who Yukon's brother is.
Oh my god. You know what? I'm gonna be the first person to humor it. I'm going to say the joke. His name is Sakon.
Sakon these nuts.
All right. Since we're on that topic, Cloud asks favorite anime protagonist, but I don't think that's difficult to guess.
No, I mean, as a babyface, I kind of based my whole character around Naruto Uzumaki, so I don't even know if I'd say he's my favorite anymore, looking back at a lot of different things. There's a couple answers. Like,
give me your top 5.
Okay, so we'll stick with Naruto. My boy Yusuke Urameshi, gotta be up there. My boy Inuyasha gotta be up there too. Monkey D. Luffy, of course, the guy. And then my final answer, I would say it's a tie between Ed Elric and Simon from Gurren Lagann.
Oasis says you skate these nuts.
I see.
All right. The CAC himself, Schuster, asks, what's your dream SSW versus OWA card? So I guess give me like 5 matches.
Oh my god, I gotta make a whole Budokai Tenkaichi card.
All right, so pull up like a notepad thing or something, and you can work on that. We can come back to it when you're done, so you can think.
All right, I got you. Getting docs open right now.
Because the next couple questions are pretty straightforward.
Yep.
All right, so Arya put the hotep on for this question because she asked, when are you going to use a black pick base for your main character and just run the whole racial gambit of bases, given that you've been white and Arab?
I've been black before. I was The Rock.
Oh. Huh. Well then. Looks like she's got to talk to Nobi because she's forgetting her history.
That's fucking wild.
That Arya said Rock is not a black man. She says she did forget. That's crazy.
That's how I returned. That's how you first met me. You first met me as Rock.
Alright, so Zumi's saying she wants the kitchen sink back, and you'll get the Netflix account in return.
That shit is smashed in pieces, bro. And I probably haven't even renewed that Netflix account.
Okay, so like, off the back of the question for this one, Azumi asked if we're getting the Nas back because it is, in her opinion, your best gimmick.
Bro, we've had so many talks, and we've got the perfect way to bring the Nas back. And I really think, yeah, no, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when at this point. We're just waiting for the right moment to unveil it. But don't worry, the Nas character will be coming back, but it'll force me to pull some Dark Demon shit where I end up reserving multiple pick bases at once. But I'm sure people will be okay with that.
Cool. Okay. So, how did the blacklist come together? And how did you pick all the members that were in it?
I mean, honestly, the way that it happened, before we even had a concept for the group, it was mainly that when it came to it, even if I would have stayed a babyface, well, the heel turn really like expedited it. But after the loss to Nate at Game Over, would followed by the heel turn, it pretty much became like, okay, especially with everything happening on Kingdom at that point too, and even Odyssey starting to form some of its groups, it became, okay, I don't want to fly solo anymore. I need a crew to ride with me. I don't want to be by myself. Everybody's getting linked up. You're honestly at a disadvantage if you're flying solo. So I started looking at who were the available people that I could work with on Olympus. Simultaneously, I randomly just offhandedly pitched the idea of, yo, what if, going full dickhead, Nas like denounces his US citizenship and then joins the fucking Commonwealth? And that was when I pitched it to Keelan and Cage. And I said, what if Nas just like moves to Canada and becomes Canadian to join the Commonwealth? And then fucking, of course, Cage was on it and Keelan was down for it too. And then it became, okay, if we're going to do the Commonwealth, we need one more. So then we brought in Aaron, and that's when Aaron turned fucking Chase Vedder into the Blood Prince from South Africa. And then that's when I changed fucking Narrow Darkbringer to be Canadian, and I changed him to Kyle O'Reilly so that we could do the Undisputed Era thing, which, terrific timing on that, because as soon as we formed the group based on Undisputed Era fucking breaks up. But then when picking a premise for the group, we found like a commonality between the characters at that point in time, where it's like we all felt like characters one way or another that felt like they were like dejected by the fan base and their fellow peer wrestlers at the same time. Like Nas felt like the people turned on him, and that like Nas had always tried to be like the model fucking citizen hero type guy, but people were becoming very apathetic towards him and disinterested in what he was doing, and he saw like his stock with the fans like plummeting, which played a role in his turn because he's looking at like his peers, like for example, who he'd go on the feud with, the Queens of Wrestling, and he's thinking, I used to be just as popular as these two. Why are they still getting praised every time they show up, but I barely even get like a cheer at all, if any, when I show up? Like, what's the difference? Which plays a part in Nas's paranoid, like, I have to be considered the best, I need to go fight all of my peers and beat them so I can prove I'm superior to them thing. And then when you have characters like Cage and Keelan, like, it's very openly documented that those are characters that also feel like, where the name came from, blacklisted by their fellow wrestlers in the locker room and by the fans. That's how the group name came. But even then, it's very much a group that's like, they're together, but it kind of feels like it's more of a means to an end than an actual like unit, aside from like Chase being down with all the bullshit. Because, I mean, even Chase recognizes he probably wouldn't even have a spot if it wasn't for the group. Which even in Nas and Chase's like tag team stuff, it comes off very blatant that Chase is like, yeah, we're great, we won the tag titles, we beat the Queens, blah blah blah. And then you hear Nas like, I defeated Arya, blah 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 blah, like making it very like self-centered. But Chase is very like oblivious to everything, so he thinks it's like them together. So like Blacklist is something that's like, I'm hoping it'll make an impact while it's around, but it's probably not something that is like super long for the world, at least in its current iteration, just based on the radical personalities. Especially since you got a member of the group that pretty much became famous off of killing a group by stabbing his partner in the back in the form of Cage. So realistically, it's only a matter of time. But we'll see how that goes. Long-winded answer over.
All right, so no, I didn't go to bed. I just muted because I was taking some pills out of a bottle. All right. Jeff asked if you were inducted into the OW Hall of Fame tomorrow, who's gonna induct you and why?
This is a tough one because I have so many possible answers.
All right, just
because
give like your top 3 to 5.
So, just rattling them off. Of course, Aaron, like how I inducted him, I would want him to induct me. Since I've elaborated already, that character, like the Aaron and Nas characters, it's funny how shit works off accident and off of like little random shit, and it just turns into something way bigger. The way he and I bonded, the way he and I like came together was, there was a developmental back in EAW way back in the day called Neo. He and I were on it, and neither one of us were really getting booked, and neither one of us were really making any traction. We were just kind of there. And then they make a tag team tournament for the tag team Young Lion Cups, and it's asked to sign up on the forum. So Arn and I both asked, and we just got paired up together. It's funny because afterwards, neither one of us even really wanted to be teamed up together at first until we actually started hanging out and talking. And then we ended up winning the whole tournament and winning the Young Lion Tag Cups, which led to us facing Dynamite Reign for the Unified Tag Titles. And we just ended up winning the tag titles. And then from there, after we split up and he gained more success as a solo and everything, that's when the seed started getting planted in my mind for the whole, like, okay, Arn and I have like the Naruto and Sasuke dynamic, and that's really like what our 3-year feud just became. So besides that, I mean, that's pretty much that for Aaron. And then next,
that makes it sound like Aaron's the main answer.
I mean, he kind of is like the very first answer. After that, Sir Sinestro, I would have to say, because I mean, it pretty much after, I would say my character is very much defined by his big rivals over the course of the different years, and pretty much right off the back of finally ending this rivalry with Aaron, here comes fucking Sen to make my life miserable, and now here's a new goddamn multi-year rival that I have to deal with. Except the dynamic with Sen was like even crazier. I'm sure Sen will go into more detail about that with his episode that we do later down the line. My man's Oasis, of course, that's been my boy since 2014 as well. And he and I have like, I would say like since OWA, because Arn and I still hang out and we're still bros and everything, but it's not the same since we're not like constantly around each other. As far as people I'm constantly around, I would say Oasis in the council is the closest thing I would say to like a brother form, like nowadays. And Oasis and I's characters, it's always worked, it's always clicked no matter what version of them there is, because they've always been diametric opposites. Physically, in terms of style, the way they carry themselves, Nas and Oasis, even when they're the same, they're different. I mean, yeah, kinda, yeah. We kinda are the Elric brothers. And then, if I had to give 2 more answers, another rival, my man's Carlos. The thing with Carlos as a rival compared to everyone else is everyone else I have these like deep, intricate, like fucking developed relationships with over time. As far as Carlos, it's pretty much just Nas and Carlos just don't fucking like each other, and they just want to fight all the time. Like, it's very much simplistic compared to all the others, but that's the beauty of it. It works every time. Like, I would say, like, rather than all the other rivals that are actual rivals, I would say Carlos is like, at least before Nas turned heel, Carlos is very much like the Frieza to Nas's Goku as a babyface. Where it's like, this guy's just fucking evil. Whereas the others, like, you try to be cool with them and then they just be dickheads to you just to stay edgy. And then if I had to pick one more... Well, I mean, I'd have to say Tara. I'd have to say, you know, the woman that has been the wife of my character now for... When did we see our characters got married? That would have been like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. 2 years ago, 2018. And I mean, that one's just very blatantly obvious. And even then, like, we worked together too. We had the whole like Final Destination main event thing. That was an interesting dynamic considering it wasn't supposed to happen, but everything just came together to be that way. So yeah, those are my 5 answers for sure. Those are the 5 people I would choose. Picking between those 5 would be the difficult part. It's probably why you haven't seen me go in yet.
Right. I got like a follow-up on that.
Go ahead.
So if you could, like, out of the people who are going to be inducted throughout the years or whatever, between OWA and SSW, who would you like to induct?
Ooh. In terms of people who it would make sense for me to induct, well, I've already inducted Aaron. Aaron went in last year. I also inducted Sen last year, so those 2 are already done. No. He asked a follow-up question to who would I like to induct. So I'm not Arya's inductor, but that would be really cool. When Oasis finally decides to give me the go-ahead to put Oasis in the Hall of Fame, I would say Nas inducting the Oasis character would be a great callback to the very beginnings of OWA. Let me see if there's anybody else. Inducting Keelan would be cool, but Finn has to be the guy to induct Keelan when Keelan goes in, and vice versa. Inducting Finn would be cool, but Keelan gotta be the one to induct Finn. Inducting... In terms of... I'm trying to think of who else there is. As for you and Nate Stark, I think you guys have to induct each other. Or Sen could also induct you, Stark, but you have to induct Nate at this point. It's too late.
Me and Sen is more in SSW anyways.
Yeah, that's a good point. Carlos would also be a cool one, but I mean that's pretty much it really. Cloud would also be fun, but Nas and Cloud as characters haven't really crossed paths like that, like until recently. So like, there isn't really anyone else that I see that I would want to induct that I think couldn't have a better inductor than me or a more fitting one.
Right.
I think so far, pretty much, I got the guys that it makes sense for me to put in. I mean, if somebody comes to me and they say they want me to put them in, then I'm not going to turn it down. I'm going to say yes. But, I mean, that's pretty much it. So that's that question.
All right, Cloud asks, who is your favorite rival? Why is it Carlos?
That's my favorite. That's your favorite rival for me is Carlos, and I think I explained why. For me, I mean, it has to be Arn because that's the original rival that made the Nas character who he like. If I didn't interact with Arn, the Nas character would have never become what he was. No matter what variation of Nas we're talking about. But Sen is a very close second. Sen is a very close second. But it would have to be Arn.
I was going to ask for your top 5 rivals, but I guess you basically just said it in the last one.
Yeah, I would say obviously swap out Tara, obviously, because she's not a rival. I would say
you beat the shit out of that poor lady.
Okay, I did not beat the shit out of her. I kicked her in the head one time. I didn't even want to fight her in 2018 or 2019. I was actively trying to avoid the match, but she forced the match. If there was a 5th rival, I guess Keelan because of the 3 stages of hell. And I liked putting that rivalry together with Keelan and the build up to it and the match itself. So Keelan would be my 5th.
Jay has a very important question.
Oh, Jesus.
Which woman have you enjoyed beating the most?
I enjoyed pinning Arya 1, 2, 3.
Hey. She said, hey, fuck off.
Even more specific, I loved beating her with Cloud's finisher when Cloud couldn't get it done in that whole like 30-page main event that they had.
Right. All right, so Sharpie asks, we've gotten the Nas, we've gotten shades of Nas Tista, but where is Kevin Nash?
Fuck them super crackers.
And there it is. All right.
I love Kevin Nash. I'll be real. I'll be real. Say whatever you want about Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash
is what?
Kevin Nash is a fucking don. I would, if I had to be like a big dude like that, I would love to be Kevin Nash. That shit would be fucking fun as hell.
All right. So Rev has his signature brand of 20 questions.
Of course.
And he addresses it to Master Chief Jorgen Boyega.
Oh my god.
Is it true what they say about the Navy?
Yes.
So you be in those cheeks.
Of course. Be beating them pussies down. What you mean?
Those boochies. All right.
Those boochies. What's the next question?
How much money does Rev have to pay you for you to stop flooding the chat with your 3 a.m. EFED war stories about EAW?
Bro, I haven't done that in like 7 months. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Nas has finally joined us in the future. I mean, not the future. I'm living in the future. We're in the present.
Bro, what do you mean? I got us the whole Warzone match.
Which Punk do you prefer, Mutton Chops Punk or 2011 slick back hair, pussy magnet?
It would be him when he didn't look emaciated as fucking hell. So 2011. I mean, okay, let me put it this way. If you could take, because even outside of the mutton chops, I would say the best look for Punk, my personal favorite, is New Nexus Punk. Like, before he started slicking back the hair. That was the best Punk look.
agree. All right. 5.56 or 0.308?
5.56. What do you mean? Go big or go home. Standard issue.
Sniping, motherfuckers. Funny ass deployment story. Everybody has one.
I gotta think one off the top of my head. Oh, there's the time that the guy came back and puked on the EXO when we were coming back from out visiting the town. That didn't end well. There was also the guy that got drunk and then stripped down naked and tried to fight the MAs, who are the Navy police, in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m. I was on watch when that happened. That shit was hilarious.
Did he win the fight?
No, he didn't win.
How did you come up with shit for Black Lives Matter?
I don't even remember how that happened off the top of my head. I think it just hit me, hashtag BLM, and then it just sparked from there. I remember saying it, and then the very first thing Aaron said to me was, "Why do you give me these demonic ideas on Black History Month?" And I said, "Bro, we gotta piss people off." Like, I pitched the idea of our entrance being a Black Lives Matter fucking protest against 2 black women in the middle of Black History Month. Aaron hated me for it, but then I told him, we gotta get Cage to write it.
You did an awful but great job. Top 5 opponents for season 4.
People I want to face. Jeffrey. Nas versus Jeff would fucking go ham. I've yet to face Noah or Graham. I would love to face those two as well. Let's say Nas versus Mav would just be stupid amounts of fun, because neither one of us care about our well-being. And then let's see here. How about of course, Nas versus Michael Bishop.
Hey.
Those are the 5 matches right there. Oh, no, wait. Moongoose makes a point. I gotta take somebody out because I gotta fight Azumi. You know, Azumi will be the honorable mention. Honorable mention number 6. Azumi Goto.
The honorable housewife.
The honorable housewife. It gotta be a good housekeeping match, bro.
Alright, so we know that we're in this like new meta of E-Feds where, as someone said, no one wants to see the wrestling anymore. It's more about the fuckery, the cinematic shit. Do you think this is true?
Do I think it's true? I think there's a balance to it, and I think there's a necessary balance to it. You can't just have the over-the-top cinematic fuckery, but you can't just have the pure pro wrestling. And there's different levels to the fuckery too, because there's in-match fuckery that isn't like super over the top, like say fucking the original iSimp. The original iSimp wasn't like yeah, there was like cinematic elements to it, but it was still at the end of the day mostly a wrestling match. Versus say something like Great War, which like the only reason it really qualifies as a wrestling match is only because there are wrestlers in it and they're using wrestling moves on each other. Aside from that, it's not a wrestling match at all. So there's a balance there, and you got to have your pure wrestling alongside it. And at this point in time, I think the big draw is the cinematic stuff. So you got to have your pure wrestling matches on the side.
See, I agree with that to a certain extent, but I feel like at the end of the day, like, even in OWA, there will be the fuckery stuff, but you'll still usually close out the night, like your average wrestling match.
Oh yeah, for sure. You'll never really see the main heavyweight title match or whatever it is end in that kind of regard, unless it's like a finish to set up a later match. Like Game Over, for instance, which I think Goose is about to bring up. Game Over with the cash-in, but that's a cash-in, so that's a little different.
Right, and the thing is, like, you got to take the creative risk, see what flies and what doesn't. If you're not going to take the risk, you're not going to know that you can push the envelope.
Yeah. Oh no, I think there's also there is Gooseland. Okay, so there is Gooseland, but I mean that's like a one-off thing though, and that's like very specific to the character. You can't do that all the time. Obviously, that was perfect placement, perfect time for the perfect match.
And that was like the culmination of a feud, so it called for something big like that.
Yes.
All right. So okay? Let me get through the shorter question. Is the Space Force the worst branch?
Bro. Just send those fucking apes to the moon already.
I mean, we did send a monkey to space first, right? Like the Russians sent the monkey up.
I think they did, yeah.
Hell yeah! All right. Are we getting a 40-man battle royale for FD3?
Only if Carlos writes it.
Hell yeah. Are we getting Nerd Grid Summer 2021? Whenever Nate's bitch ass stops being lazy.
Bro, that's not for me to answer. I've already pitched tons of content to him, and I've told him I will sit down and I will learn full on editing to assist with him.
Well,
but
this wasn't even related to that, but Oasis just called Nate a monkey in the chat, so that's all there really is to say.
He is a fucking monkey.
When is Mil Molestus debuting? Alright, you don't want to spoil it, that's fair. When are we getting Throne Wars?
Oh my god. Okay, so let me give the full elaboration on that whole situation. So,
oh, Lord.
When it comes to Throne Wars, the fact of the matter is, I've openly admitted before, that's definitely something that I should have never even attempted, and I should have at least saved that until I came back home to the States. The problem is the way that the current environment is and the way that current Nas himself is established as an ultra fucking bad guy. Throne Wars would have to be completely redesigned for it to make any kind of sense. Because originally it was supposed to be the culmination of his story as a good guy. But now as a villain, it would have to be completely reshaped. It could work with Nas as the main antagonist, trying to set up a new hero to defeat him. But the timing's a little weird with that because who would that good guy even be right now? So I'm thinking it's not impossible to happen in the future, but if it ever did happen, it wouldn't happen for a long time ago. A long time from now, I should say.
All right. So what's your promoing process like in general? And that's Reb's final question of that set.
I don't have a fucking process. Shit just comes to me and I write it. That's pretty much it. That's all I can say. Okay, so
open Google Docs and talk your shit.
So back in the day, I used to try a little bit more because then, we were expected to promo way more often and to always like be on the lookout for shit. But the way things are right now, and rightfully so, it's way more lax and it's way more like, of course, do what you gotta do. If you're set up to do something, then come through, commit. But, it's not like people are watching you every fucking hour of the day waiting to see if you're gonna goddamn do something. Unless you develop the bad reputation of that person will never come through, so we need to monitor that person to make sure they're goddamn coming through all the time. I mean, that's pretty much that. So continue on.
All right. So that's the end of Reb's set. Jeff asks, how has e-fetting impacted your real life?
Immensely positively. More than anything, I mean, I met the woman that I plan on spending the rest of my life with through eFed, so I guess it's like a different answer for me than for a lot of other people. But like, yes, obviously, I'm going to be a lifetime subscriber to Goto fans. You didn't know, Jeff? Anyways.
I thought I was hitting that now.
The point is, aside from that, like, all you guys, like, especially with my living situation the past, like, 3 or 4 years, moving to much more remote, rural locations where I had to leave a lot of my, like, high school friends and shit that I probably still would have been hanging out with, and I still talk to them every now and then across, like, fucking PlayStation or, like, Discord or the fucking, like, Twitter or whatever. But you guys really are, like, my friend lifeline. Like, my immediate friend lifeline at this point. Like, on a daily basis. And I would say having, like, this server to come to, especially, like, when I was deployed, being able to come to this server every single day, or most days, and just hang out and bullshit, really made life away from America, away from my family, away from just life, away from, like, first world life in general. It made it a lot easier having you guys to speak to.
That's for sure. Where do you get this kind of fuckery anywhere else?
So I mean that's pretty much that in terms of that answer more than anything. What's next, Stark?
All right. So Arya asks if we're ever gonna get a chance to do a full NXT concept in OWA, like a developmental, like a fully functional developmental version.
We made an attempt at that. I made an attempt at a full-on OWT, but I couldn't get people to commit, as in I wasn't going to do it by myself. That's another one of those vanity projects I had where I was like, this would be a really cool thing for the community to do, but I didn't want to do it myself because, once again, I give all the credit in the world to people like Oasis and Stark and to a lesser extent like Cloud and all these people that are able to do all of these fucking great projects, or were at different points by themselves. It's fucking astounding and impressive to me. But I don't think I have the fucking wherewithal to pull any of that off by myself. Like, if I ever wanted to do anything, I would need at least one person backing me up on it, tag teaming it with me the whole way through.
Hey. We've run a train out here. Alright.
You already know. So, but in terms of for the future, it's not impossible for the future, the OWT thing, but I would say probably not anytime soon. Alright, what's the next question?
Shelster asked what your favorite storyline in OWA has been.
For me specific or just in general?
For you.
My favorite.
I guess you can answer both if you want.
Alright, so my favorite storyline for me, I would say working with Oasis on the build-up of the Nas versus Chris storyline and the debut of Havoc and the Hell in a Cell match against Havoc, or we changed the name of what that would be. What did we say? What did we retcon the Cell name to be? If anyone from the council remembers, because I don't remember. Either way, the Cell match with Havoc, that we definitely didn't call it that, but the whole build up to that and working with Oasis and Chris on that was a lot of fun. So that's pretty much my answer to you.
Nas versus Chris was heat. Hopefully that feud culminates at some point.
A rematch would be lit. Especially, it would be crazy because like Nas was the initial reason why Chris became Havoc in the first place, and now you look at all the fucking demonic shit that Havoc has done since then. It would make sense for a Nas and Havoc like rematch now.
Yeah. I also want to say, like, we're nearing the end of the questions, so other people have serious questions to ask, throw them down now, so I can save the meme ones for the end. Close this out.
Yeah, we're getting close to that time, so send in those final questions.
Alright, so Jeff asked, all current OWA storylines are wrapped up tomorrow, and you have to start new ones. What is your choice? You get to choose anyone in the Fed to begin a one-on-one angle with, leading up to an FD match. Who you want to face at the big show? So just imagine, like, this is OWA Season 1, everything's brand new, but it's this exact roster. Who is your first opponent?
Ooh, I got a couple of choices. I'll give you a couple of choices. I'll go for 3. So very first, if we forced Finn to stay as Daniel Bryan, Nas versus Finn at FD. That would be fucking insanity. Or even him, even him as Zack Sabre Jr., it would still work.
Especially given what Season 1 ended up being. You had your 2 God reigns as a true battle of gods.
Let's see here. let's say the Nas versus Chris match again. But the way I would want to do the Nas versus Chris match would be, this was like after the way I have always envisioned the way that things would end up going. I don't know if it will. I don't think it will. But my projection of the way that the whole Havoc storyline will culminate and he will return back to Christopher Sabretooth. I would want to do a thing after he reverts back to Sabretooth where he and I fight in a big match, a passing of the torch match at FD, where I would try and force him to hone his Havoc side and then tame it and control it so that he doesn't go full on evil fucking demonic bastard as Havoc, and he can just call upon that power at will, and he and I can have like just a fucking long ass bullshit anime fight basically. And then he beats me and I bow out and I leave the future up to him. And then if I had to pick a third match, Nas versus Jeff. Jeff is like the big guy that I've like never even like really interacted with. Like I think Jeff and I spent like a little bit of time in the very first clash against each other, but aside from that, Jeff and I never even remotely came into contact with each other. It would be just such a massive match, and I feel like he and I would just have so much chemistry working against each other. He would be the perfect babyface opponent for current Nas. Or not even babyface, just because that's kind of the idea, is that he wouldn't be a babyface. He would be like aggressive, like kick-ass kind of face. So those are my three choices.
Those are all matches that would hit in current time anyways, so you're right. Okay. If no one else is sending anything in, this is probably like the last real question. If you were on Kingdom, who would you associate with stable-wise?
I feel like if I had come back to Kingdom when I first came back in the summertime, when I was still a good guy, of course I would have associated with the front line. But if I only came back to Kingdom after my heel turn, Nas would probably associate with, I would say, probably Ashes, mainly because Nas would look at Havoc and he'd be like, I created this fucking monster. And he would like very much, yeah, you get what I'm trying to say.
And it would make sense that when Nas is at his lowest, it would be like a former sort of protege of his that helped pick him up.
Yes.
So, okay, and same from Oasis. So you obviously remember Batista's 2014 return and how that went south because the fucking virgins wouldn't stop cheering for Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
If you had to book him so that you can get him to the world title without having fan backlash, what is the way you would have done it?
Okay, so his build to WrestleMania, I always talk about this. The match I wanted was him and Brock Lesnar. That's the match I wanted. And even though Batista's retired, I still demand that match.
Huh. It's crazy that we never got it. They were both here. They intersected for at least a full year, and we never got that match.
Just let them big ass motherfuckers beat the shit out of each other, no holds barred, for like
I agree.
13, 14 minutes.
That should have been the Mania match, and a heel Batista should have beaten face Bryan for the title afterwards.
Yeah, like even when you bring Batista back, it doesn't matter what he comes in as, face or heel, against Brock Lesnar, because it'll work regardless. His alignment doesn't matter for that match. If he turns after that, and you can do the Evolution and Shield thing still, because those matches hit too. But by that point, Bryan could have had a decent enough run, especially if we consider Bryan doesn't get injured if he doesn't do the Kane match, that heel Batista beating Daniel Bryan would work. And even then, even if you don't do that, if you have Daniel Bryan drop to another heel instead, and then you have Batista still be face and beat that guy, whether it's like, I don't know, fucking, if it's Randy Orton again or fucking Brock or somebody, I don't know. But yeah, Batista beat that guy, it still works. Batista's run with the belt, I would give it like maybe 2-3 months probably, as long as the hype and the promotional stuff for Guardians is going. And even then, you can have like Batista turn heel after WrestleMania, he beats Daniel Bryan, and then Bryan and then say Batista drops back to Brock at SummerSlam, because Brock was going to win at that SummerSlam anyway. So you do that, and Brock gets his win back on Batista, and then later on, you can get a rubber match out of them if Batista comes back at another point. Or even if you manage to keep Batista after Bryan's injury, you can have Batista be the one to you could have him be the one to win the vacant title instead of John Cena after Bryan's injury. There's many different ways to go about it.
Is that all you got on that?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
All right. Shelster with another one. What's the favorite place you've been deployed to?
Well, I've only been to 2 places. I went on AT, which is active training, to Naples, Italy for 2 weeks in 2017. And obviously I went to Djibouti, Africa last year. Definitely enjoyed Africa way more than Italy. Not only because I was only in Italy for 2 weeks, but like it was just way more fun. The people I interacted with were way cooler. Both the foreign people, like, to that nation, as well as fucking the actual like military people I worked with there, my actual department and division there, way more fun than the people I worked with in Italy. We were in different areas though. I was in South Italy, you were in North Italy.
What was Cloud doing out there in Italy?
He was just on vacation.
Oh, he was just chilling.
Yeah.
Eating some pasta.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, I didn't even really go out much after I heard about it, and the motherfuckers in Naples be pickpocketing like a motherfucker. You get your wallet swiped and not even realize it.
So, when is Arya getting that win back?
When is Arya getting her win back from me?
Yeah, Queens of Wrestling versus Blacklist. Said it's a stain on her career.
I mean, if she want to fight again, I don't got a problem with it. But if we do the match, it depends on where it is. If it's in OWA, then it is what it is. If it's in SSW, because the Blacklist ain't in SSW, so you'll have to fight another unit, and that unit is...
She wants it in SSW so she can win.
Wait, nah. If it isn't SSW, then you'll be taking on the men going their own way.
Yo, you know what? I think. Oh, she said that's fine. Okay. I'll just put that in my back pocket for now. Alright, we're in the final four. And these are all some dumbass fucking questions.
Bet.
When's the next D&D session? Asks Sen, as if he's not the idiot who's supposed to have that answer.
Facts.
Fuck you, Carlos. I asked her.
Alright, that's the final question. Carlos sent in the final question. We're not taking any more questions.
Alright. Who are the most influential e-fetters on you?
Most influential on me?
Yes.
Well, I don't associate with any of those bitch ass motherfuckers anymore, so. No, I'm playing. If there are any that are still around, Ken and Jay are the two that are still around that are still actually like cool people. Everybody else can go fucking die in a hole.
Damn.
Okay, no, obviously not die in a hole, but all the rest of those motherfuckers can go fuck themselves. Oh, and Carlos as well. I'd have to throw Carlos in that mix too for influential people. Carlos, Jay, and Ken would be the last three.
It's a good list. Wait, hold on. You're leaving the great founder out.
Yeah, he's in that hole. What are you talking about?
Oh, bet. Okay, all right. So when is the next D&D session?
I don't know. Sinestra, when's the next D&D session?
Just unmute and tell us.
I don't fucking know.
Come on, guy.
Because every time I try to get y'all for a session, something comes up.
Well, Aaron's asleep right now anyway.
Bitch ass boy. All right. Cloud asks what you think of my main piece, The Desolate Midnight.
Bro. You already know. Stark, the thing that we got cooked up that's gonna happen in the next month or so. You already know I'm using The Desolate Midnight in that.
It's lit. Who are you choking on? Alright.
Choking on dicks.
Second to last question. Goose asks, when are you gonna put me on the council?
Next question.
Not Goose himself, I mean me.
Oh.
Wow.
Honestly, take Nate's bitch ass out and put Stark in that spot. I've been saying this, but don't nobody listen to me.
You don't even need to take him out.
Nah, but take him out anyway, just cause fuck him.
Give me my green name. If Oasis had any balls, he'd do it right now.
Yeah, that's all Oasis. Oasis is the one that has the power to give people the green name. Oh my god. Okay.
Bro, I'll rewrite history right now. What do you mean? That's a bet? Alright. So our final question. Jeff asks, what that mouth do? And there it is. That's the cast. Might as well just stop recording after that one.
Yeah, we're not getting any better. We're not getting any better.